Please, Niklas.
Good afternoon, everybody. I will focus on Kazakhstan in this presentation, and I will show you things that most people have not seen before. So I hope that that is interesting. And we have time for Q&A then after the presentation. Kazakhstan is a big country, a population of almost 17 million people who live there and think that that country is their home. They come from 150 different backgrounds, different nationalities with different cultural heritages. It's one of the biggest economies in the Central Asian area. It has a lot of problems, but it's climbing up in many different measurements and KPIs. You can see here two of them. First of all, easiness to do business. Kazakhstan has climbed up to a position of 49 out of almost 200 countries in the world. It's a much better place to do business than, for example, Italy. Still has a lot of things that they need to do and improve, but it's not as bad as it used to be. In corruption scale, it's still quite bad. It's not the least corrupt country in the world, but it's not the worst either. It's almost on the same level than Russia is. It's worse than Sweden, but there is corruption in Sweden as well. A little bit less, but there is still something. Why we chose to go into Kazakhstan? Well, first of all, I would like to say that we need to grow. We need to find growth markets, but do that very selectively, knowing that there are problems all around the world, not only in those places which were former Soviet Union, also in Western countries like Finland and Sweden. So we need to understand what is really going on, what are the real risks, and how can we possibly do business in those environments. In some cases we cannot, then we reject those opportunities. In some cases we decide that the risks are something that we can manage. In the case of Kazakhstan, we actually used 2 years for due diligence. We started that already in 2007 by screening multiple countries in the CIS area. We screened Kazakhstan, we also screened some other countries. And when the opportunity came in Kazakhstan, when Kazakh Telecom decided that they will sell their 51% of a small third operator called MTS, or NEO, we were interested, because we knew that that country is something that we can live with, despite all the challenges what they had with human rights, with corruption, and with all other type of things. In that process, we used our in-house resources and quite extensively also third parties, different consultants, banks, and other resources in the due diligence. We screened corruption, human rights, we screened the financial environment, not only in telecoms, but also in a more general way, and many other things, and concluded that we can do business in this environment if and when we apply the Tele2 values and way to the operation what we will then take over. There are lots of sad incidents in all countries, maybe a little bit more in Kazakhstan than in some others. There have been terrorist attacks there, bombings, crazy people shooting other people and then shooting themselves after that. And this is the environment where we actually do business. Fortunately enough, we don't have these incidences every day, but we do have them every year, multiple times. The authorities in that country are, of course, trying to protect the citizens and the businesses living there. They're trying to create an environment where foreign companies have the guts to invest into. And they are trying to prevent these things happening, but they do happen. Just a couple of examples here. Zanaotsen, the world media wrote about that. Many people got killed. The telecom networks were shut down, and many other things happened. On top of that, there have been smaller incidents before that and after that. What we learned from this Sanautsen event was that we need to have a very formal process and formal way how to deal with different type of requests that we got and get from the authorities. And we developed this process. This is the first time we show this publicly. A process that we applied into Kazakhstan, but not only to Kazakhstan, but also to all other operations what we have in Tele2. Because every now and then we get requests, not only in Kazakhstan, but other places as well, to either shut down our networks or base stations or to restrict certain service levels. And we cannot do that without proper thinking and understanding why and who is asking us to do that. This process we have in place. We have defined a competent authority, which varies from country to country based on the legislation. We have a mechanism how to identify the person who is actually giving us the request so that not anybody can do that. There's a password and a certain type of mechanism how to do that. And also an internal process how to screen and validate that request. We always think that is this a legitimate request? Is it the right person and authority doing that? What are the human rights aspects in that? What are the business aspects, etc. And then based on that, we make a decision whether to apply to that or not. In certain cases, things are time critical. Let's say that there is a terrorist with a bomb with a GSM detonator. We might have a couple of minutes time to shut down the base station so that the bomb will not explode. In those cases, we cannot expect our management in Kazakhstan to call Sweden and Stockholm and ask that, can we do that? They need to do it immediately. And they need to do that based on their best understanding on the situation. In most of the cases, we have more time. And then we have a mechanism how to contact the management here in Stockholm, how to discuss that certain topic. If the case is very big, we actually use our crisis management team, which is a separate process established in Tele2 already a while back, where we involve most of the management and sometimes the board for that type of a dialogue. And then we give feedback back to the management in the country. So this is the way how we deal with these type of requests. We have only had one request where we had to shut down all the services from the customers, and even that was a restricted area. In all the other ones, and this is also something that most people have not seen before, this is our logbook of these events from Kazakhstan, starting from end 2011 all the way to March this year. We have had these many cases where either KNB or the Ministry of Communication have asked us to restrict services to our customers. All but one have actually allowed our customers to use voice and data services all the time. So the customers have actually not noticed anything. The reason why, or that's what the authorities tell us, the reason why they are asking us to do this is that they need to locate a certain group of criminals. It can be a terrorist cell or one individual, locate and identify in a very, very specific way. And that's why they need to do certain things in the network. We have a written agreement with the Ministry of Communication and the KNB about the procedures and the legislation behind this. And we have pushed back in quite many cases saying that we don't think that this is the right thing to do. Could you please reconsider? And as a result, we have managed to do it in a way where the service, the voice and data service, actually has not been affected at all to the customers. And we have also done it in a way, you can see here, that only a small amount of base stations have been shut down to a limited time period. So what we are doing is to try to limit these things as much as we can with a proper dialogue with the authorities. I mentioned that Kazakhstan is a country of 150 different nationalities. It also means that people are coming from different cultures. If we Think about people who have lived on this planet. A vast majority have lived and are still living in a corrupt environment, where corruption is the way how they operate in their daily life. So we need to assume that there are people there who don't really understand how to live their life without that type of behavior, and still do business in a clean way, which is in line with our code of conduct. And that puts a challenge to us as managers, as well as the organization what we are running. And we need to have controls which are the same in all Tele2 countries, but in the case of Kazakhstan, we know that the risks are higher, so we are maybe putting a little bit more work and focus on that, and we are finding things. I will give you a couple of examples. The first one was from the day of closing this deal in 2010, when we heard on the first day that we are paying a rent of the headquarter building in Almaty, which is twice the market price. Of course, we knew from the due diligence that we are paying a high rent, but then we actually had the tools to really dig into that, and we found the person who had signed that deal, and we also find that he had taken some kickbacks on that. So he had deliberately agreed to pay a higher rent and to get some money to his own pocket. He was fired on the same day, and we moved out to a cheaper location a couple of months after that. We have also had cases where some of the authorities are asking bribes. We have a board in Kazakhstan with 2 members from our local partner. They have 49% of the capital of the company, and we have 51%. We are discussing these type of things in the board if they occur. Not discussing that should we pay or not. We will never pay. But we discuss that how do we deal in this situation? What do we do to avoid problems? And how do we manage our business in a good way? And so far, we have found always that good way. It can be that in some cases, we need to use a little bit more time to get where we want. But we have so far managed to do that. We have also been very open in all the public presentations what we have given there. I have done that in the national TV of Kazakhstan and also in many places in Astana and Almaty, always saying that Tele2 will never pay bribes and we will never take them. And by doing this, we have created a kind of brand image to Tele2. Tele2 is clean, don't even try. And if you try, you might get into troubles. We had a fire inspection, I think it was 2 years ago, where the local fire authorities came to the building and said that we will now do a fire inspection and you will get the stamps and all the permission if you pay us a bribe. You will get it very easily and we will go away. And we told them that we will not do that, and if you ever ask again, we will report this to your supervisors, your bosses, and to the authorities. They became scared. They did the fire inspection in a good way. We got the stamps without paying bribes, and they never came back with the same question. This is something that not all the companies are doing in that country. We have decided to do it in a very, very black and white way, just to build the image of us being clean. And I don't remember now any cases from last year where we actually have had any requests from the authorities to pay bribes. We do have some cases still where our own employees are stealing money from us. When we started in 2010, we had 400 employees in the company. We made 25% of that redundant, partly because of corruption, partly because of competence, which was not fitting the needs that we had, partly because of attitude and behavior. We had a golden opportunity to handpick people to the organization what we started to build. Now we have 700 people in the country. Still we have problems every now and then, and that's because people have basically a quite low salary. They see an opportunity here and there to earn a little bit more, but every time when we manage to locate and pinpoint those cases, we act. And by being very consistent with this approach, we have been able to clean lot of wrongdoings away, and I think that we are on quite good level now. But this is something that we need to pay attention to all the time, and not only in Kazakhstan, in other places. So Kazakhstan, very good opportunity for us. Most of the time what we are using with the management there is to support them in running the business. That's the most important thing to do. But with all these controls and not being naive, we also find those areas where people are doing wrong things and prevent wrong things to happen in the future.